Okay, we're live. All right. Oh, excuse me. All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to In the Blind with Daddy Duck. Now, before we get started tonight, I want to go over a few things. First thing I want to do is I want to recognize the partners who support Daddy Duck 365 and who help me continue doing what I do. Those partners are Salt Creek Custom Ammunition, Trulock Choke Tubes, Biscuit Built 3D, Animus Works, and Hey Outdoors. Listen, I appreciate everything that they do in support of Daddy Duck. Now, the next thing, again, we're trying to get some housekeeping done before we start. Um, I got a lot of things to get through tonight. I've got some documents, I've got maps, I've got at least five graphics, get dates. We got several different pieces of this story that I want to put together. So, listen, if I missed your question or comment in the chat, do me a huge favor and bear with me. I'm gonna try to keep up, but I not, sometimes I just can't. I'm gonna try to stop at a couple of places and look at comments, but while we're doing that, I I got to keep us moving because there's a lot of stuff in here. Um, so this live stream is for you guys. I hopefully y'all will enjoy it. Um, I do absolutely want to hear everything that y'all have got to say. I most definitely want to hear about your comments. But while we're going through these documents, I may have, like I said, I got to keep us moving. So just deal with me and hang in tight, okay? All right. The reason uh, that we're doing a second live on this is very, very simple. Um, More information keeps coming out. And the deeper I've dug into this, the more questions that I've got. And I've been watching social media, and I see a lot of questions that you got. So tonight, I thought I'd take this and put it into a timeline. May of 2026, June of 2026, and of course August of 2026. Because when you put all three of these together, I think that's where some legitimate questions that need to be answered with this refuge. Uh, my position. I've been asked numerous times, and I'm just going to tell you straight up. I want everybody to understand where I stand. I support conservation. I support protecting waterfowl habitat. I support the sanctuary areas. Listen, ducks need a place to rest. I got that. I support protecting wetlands. And if the Fish and Wildlife Service wants to acquire private property uh, from willing sellers for conservation, then listen, that is a different conversation. But here's what I oppose. I oppose taking the land and water that is already publicly owned and already available for public use and putting into the refuge system, and by doing so could result in actually public losing access that it already has. And honestly, this is where I draw the line. And tonight, hopefully, I can explain why. Before before we get back to before we even get to rather Santee, um, which by the way is my backyard. I mean, this is where I grew up hunting and fishing. Is on the Santee Cooper Lakes. Um, we need to go back to May of 2026. This is where it kind of all starts. The Fish and Wildlife announced a major proposed expansion of hunting and fishing opportunities on existing federal lands, and we were talking about more than 1,400 new or expanded opportunities on 111 national wildlife refuges and fish hatcheries, and that's 32. That's in 32. And honestly, I support that. I supported that. I said, yeah, we need to open up and expand these refuges. I came out with a video on it, and I said, yes, I do support that. If we've got federal land where hunting and fishing is compatible with the conservation mission, give the public the opportunity to hunt. And we're not just talking waterfowl, we're talking everything here. Um, but this is something that caught my attention because South Carolina was not one of those 32 states. There were 32 states that opened up all their federal, not all of their federal, but they opened up federal lands. Um, so my first question tonight is why? Why wasn't South Carolina included? Was it simply no qualifying new opportunities there? Was it a management decision? Was it staffing? Was it funding? Was it something else? Honestly, I don't know, and I'm not here to even pretend that I know what happened. Um, but I need you to remember this. Um, in May of 2026, there was more hunting and fishing access, 32 states. South Carolina was not included. Because I want you to remember that because now we're going to move forward just 1 month. And in June of 2026, the Santee National Wildlife Refuge um, put out a management plan, 83 pages long, by the way. It was a draft of the Habitat and Species Management Plan Environmental Assessment for Santee National Wildlife Refuge. Um, and there is actually plenty in this document that I actually support. And we're talking about wetlands and forest. We're talking grasslands, fields, open water, prescribed fire, waterfowl habitat, invasive species, such as grasses and actually animals like cormorants, habitat restoration and wildlife management. Um, I'm not against any of that if the water is on the refuge. If the open water is on the refuge, I'm not against all that. That's good habitat management, exactly what an existing refuge should be doing. But there's something else that actually caught my attention um, when this came up. If I can get my mouse to work right, um, uh, let's see here. Okay, this was in the June uh, proposal as well. And this really, really caught my attention. Um, and it states it's stated limited refuge staff time. This is not something I invented. I did make it look pretty so y'all could read it, but that's language from their own document on the Santee National Wildlife Refuge. Limited staff. Now I've got more questions. We're talking about an existing refuge of a little over 15,000 acres, and it's got a limited refuge staff time. It's already being identified as a management consideration. So the question is, and I think it's in everybody's mind, is if staff is already limited, um, how are you going to manage more? How is that going to happen? Where does that additional manpower come from? Who manages the additional habitat? Who handles the enforcement? Who manages the public use? Who maintains the facilities? Again, and another question that I had was, where's this money coming from? Now, I'm not saying that the June document says that the Fish and Wildlife doesn't have any money, because it doesn't, but putting another line on a map is easy. Actually managing what's inside that line is something that's totally different. Um, Now, remember back in May, 1 month prior to this coming out, Fish and Wildlife announces that there's going to be more hunting and fishing opportunities across 32 states. South Carolina isn't included. Okay. The Santee management document acknowledges limited refuge staff time. So, again, I ask, was limiting staffing one reason South Carolina wasn't including in May? Again, I don't know. Maybe it had nothing to do with it. But I think it's a fair question that we need to ask. And if staffing is already limited on the refuge, um, what do we got? Okay. Now, let's see here. We got. Give me a second, guys. I'm looking for the other image file here, um, and I apologize for that. I'm not that quick on these things. So here is the NWR, or excuse me, here is the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the conceptual focus map. Now, I don't know what y'all are, if y'all are on, uh, I don't know if you're on your phones. I don't know if you're looking at a laptop. I don't know if you're looking at a TV. But this dark blue line, I'm tracing it with my mouse. I don't even know if you can see that or not. But the dark blue line covers a lot of the county of Clarendon, some in I think some in Williamsburg and some in Berkeley County. Um, these are areas that these are land areas that they would consider if a willing seller, a willing private owner wanted to sell their land. But what has myself and a lot of people up in arms are these hash marks right here, and over here at Lake Moultrie, and over here at Santee, or excuse me, Lake Marion. These are the Santee Cooper Lakes. So as you can see, this orange line, if you can see that, that's I-95, and there's a huge chunk west of I-95. Uh, and those of y'all that are familiar with the Santee Cooper Lakes, you know that's from basically from the Bluff unit all the way up to Coca-Cola Slough, past Coca-Cola Slough, and almost to Elliott's Landing, if not at Elliott's Landing. And then it goes straight across, which would be somewhere in the Stump Hole area, and then back down through the state park, go back up under I-95, and then it runs the south end of the lake, and I would think that would be somewhere close to Rocks Pond, and then it shoots across, So you've got all this in Tawkaw area, all that area, and then it shoots across, and you've got a little opening spot around Churches Island, Pintail Island, down there around Spires. Um, Listen, I didn't draw these boundaries; they did. U.S. Fish and Game. This is their map. This came off of their bulletin, their proposal, so to speak. And I can tell you that this area right here is from I-95 or the Bluff unit. Like I said, it would take all of Passini Island, all of what's the old Billup Slough, the Jacks Creek Hatchery, of course Jacks Creek Landing, which now I think is relaxed. I think Relaxed Retreat owns that, and then across the slough, the old Billup Slough, which I think became Carolina King, and now it's back to Relaxed Retreat. I think they own that now, and it would take their landing. I mean, it would take the water, but it would take their frontage. It would go into Billup Slough. Then it would go out toward Passini Island, out of Passini Island into the open water. I mean, pretty much close to where probably goes to where the river is what it looks like on this map. And then go all the way up, like I said, toward the old Stump Hole area, and go up into across back over to Elliott's. Again, this is their map, not mine. I did make it kind of make it look a little bit prettier with all this other stuff. But the blue outline, that is their proposed acquisition boundary lines, all that property. I'm not saying they're going to take it, but if a private entity, a private person wanted to sell their property, they may consider purchasing it. But like I said, what's got me is all the water. This is what's got me. And look at here down at Lake Moultrie. I mean, that's pretty much half of the lake right there. There we go. Um, Again, they're considered an acquisition boundary expansion, which is associated with the National Wildlife Refuges in South Carolina and in Georgia. Um, we're going to be talking about Santee because that's our backyard. I'm from South Carolina. This is our backyard. But they are doing the same thing along the South Carolina coast, like Cape Romaine, Ace Basin, and so forth. They're also doing a lot of this around in Georgia. Um, and for the South Carolina Low Country Refuge Systems, we're talking about a possible expansion of anywhere from 30,000 to 300,000 acres. That they're, if again, proposal, if an entity wants to or sell it or lease it to the refuge systems. Um, it doesn't mean they're taking 300,000 acres tomorrow. It doesn't mean that somebody's private property is automatically becomes federal property. Um, that is not what I'm saying. What we're in now is called the public scoping process, and this is exactly and precisely why we're asking, and I'm asking, and every one of you should be asking these questions right now. Again, look at Lake Marion, look at Lake Moultrie, uh, look at how much of this conceptual area involves water and water associated areas. Um, these are not areas that people don't use. Um, People already hunt, we fish, we boat there, we recreate. Kayakers, fishermen, boaters, just joyriding, duck hunters. Some of these little you really can't see on the map, but there are islands that are South Carolina WMA islands, they're wildlife management areas, and you can actually deer hunt on these islands, or you can hunt small game on these islands. People do take their boats, they ease over there, they put a tree stand up, they hunt, they go after squirrels, so forth, so forth. Um, I don't, I'm really, I promise you, I'm not understanding what their thought process here. Um, and I keep wanting to come back because on every in the May, in the June, and in the August, they're all talking about public access, more public access, and more access to what? To the water, to the land. What access are they actually talking about? Because they do not specify in their in their proposal what type of access they're talking about. Listen, uh, if you know Santee, if you've been on Santee, any of the Santee lakes, either Lake Marion or Lake Moultrie, but let's talk about Lake Moultrie. You know we have numerous public and privately owned boat ramps all around those lakes. Starting from right outside of the Bluff unit, which is the NWR, the Santee National Wildlife Refuge, you have, and I'm using old names, guys, so if some of y'all that are associated with Relax Retreat, please forgive me. I'm still old school. I call them by their old names. But you got Jack's Creek Landing. And I'm going to start on the north. I'm going to work my way west, and then I'm going to go across east, and I'm going to come back down south. And I'm going to stay in the boundary of I-95. I'm not going to go below I-95. So you got Jack's Creek. You have the old Billups Landing. Then you have Hickory Top Landing. Then you have Elliott's Landing. Then you have Pax Landing. And if you keep going up into the swamp, you got Spalkaberry Landing. If you go through the swamp, get back on the river, go up the river, go to the confluence, get on the Congaree. You have the 601. Do you want to go keep going on the Wateree? Then you have the Wateree River access. Then you start coming back down the river, and you've got Low Falls, Stump Hole, and you've got the state park. You got 10 to 12 public and private access points into Lake Marion, and that is just above I-95. We're not even talking about right at I-95 going east with Polly's and Adams. You go across, you got, Spires, you got Rocks Pond, you got all those others, Randolph's Landing, you got all those others on the other side, Angels, the whole 9 yards. You got, I think there's anywhere from 24 to 26 public or private boat accesses on Lake Marion. And we're not even talking about Moultrie yet. We haven't even begun to talk about Moultrie. There are plenty of public access points in Moultrie. Lots between Russellville Landing, uh, Black's Camp. You got I can't remember the other ones, but you've got numerous on Moultrie. So again, I keep coming back to this phrase that they kept saying: more public access. Access to what? We've got plenty. We've got plenty of access. How can you not? How can they not see that? I'm really not sure of what they're talking about. Um, they even talked about, hiking trails. Now, listen, I can understand some hiking trails on the existing refuge, which, by the way, they do have. They on Bluff Unit, Pine Island, and we're talking about Santee National Wildlife Refuge, Bluff Unit, Pine Island, Cuddo, Dingles Pond. They have walking trails. They have biking trails. I mean, Cuddo has a car. You can drive your car all the way around it. What access can what more access can you get? Are they? And I know this is going to sound silly, guys, but when they say talk about hiking and biking and all this, are they thinking maybe building a walking trail across the lake? I mean, I know that sounds silly, but again, I do not understand what they're trying to say here. Their proposal was so broad, and just it just couldn't, absolutely did not, from the first word to the last word, did not make any sense of what they were trying to do, what they were trying to say. And again, define access. Are you talking about hunting? You talking about fishing? You talking about boating, bank fishing, wildlife viewing, um, opening currently private property, new boat ramps? Um, what are we gaining? What would we even gain out of this? I can tell you now, we would not gain anything. We've already got it. We have already got it. Um, and this is a question that I really want answered. Maybe some new property eventually becomes accessible. Okay. But if the areas, if new areas come accessible, but what if the other areas become restricted? And that's a question. I mean, what did we actually gain access? So for example, we're going to get off the lake a second and go into some private property. A guy has private property. He wants to sell it or lease it to the National Wildlife Refuge, and they go, okay, so we're going to open this up, but we're going to close this. So did we actually gain access, or did we just shift it around? I'm not tracking there. So there's got to be, again, there has to, they got to get they got to specify and be more specific of what they're trying to do here, other than throwing a map out and making people think that they're going to take their lake from them. Um, Now, again, we talked about May and June, and let's put this together. In May, there's supposed to be more hunting and fishing opportunities were announced in 32 different states, and not in South Carolina. In June, Santee's existing 15, a little over 15,095 acre refuge acknowledges limited refuge staff time. They acknowledge that. And in August, they're now looking at a conceptual area potentially involving tens or even hundreds of thousands of additional acres. So again, help me understand this direction. If the national policy is more hunting and fishing opportunities, where is South Carolina's? And if staffing is already limited, how are you going to manage more property? Again, I'm not accusing this. They're not accusations. These are questions. how are they going to manage more property when they already say in their June proposal, the 15-year proposal, that they don't have enough people to work what they got now? I mean, they say it. It's right there. Again, that thing in that proposal in June, it's 83 pages long. You'll get tired of reading it, and it's redundant. But if you go through it, you can find those sections. Let's see here. Now, I don't want you to think that I am saying they're going to close Lake Marion or Lake Moultrie. Listen, I'm not saying that. They haven't, and I'm not telling you that they have, because they have not. But let me show you why why we should be concerned. And I gotta get over here and get my screen. Where is it at? There it is. 3. I want y'all to take a look at this sign. This is an actual sign that's on the Santee National Wildlife Refuge. This sign is real. Okay? It's there. And I know if any of you guys who have been at the Santee National Wildlife Refuge, at the Bluff Unit or Cutto, or especially the Bluff Unit, you have seen this sign. I know you have. It's right there. Area beyond this sign is closed to all public entry from November 1st to March 1st. All public entry, not just duck hunting. All public entry, not just fishing. All public entry, not kayaking. All public entry. Now, I said in the beginning, and I want to make this very, very perfectly clear, I am for conservation. I am for duck sanctuaries. I am for the wildlife refuge areas. I'm not arguing against sanctuaries. I would like to see them more opened up to more hunting. Most certainly I would love to, but I'm not against them. And there should be places. There absolutely should be places where birds can get away from hunting pressure. But this sign right here demonstrates something extremely important, and I want you to listen carefully. If those areas that were hash marked out on the lake become part of Santee National Wildlife Refuge, the refuge management can include major seasonal access restrictions. They most certainly can. And don't think they can't, because they can. So when somebody shows hunters and fishermen a massive conceptual area surrounding waters they already use, these are already public waters, those people ask, what could eventually happen to my access? I don't think that's unreasonable. What's going to happen to the private boat ramps? Relaxed Retreat over at Billups, Jacks Creek, Elliott's, across. I don't think the state park has anything to worry about, but what about Low Falls? What about Stump Hole? What about Adams? What about Polly's? What about Rocks Pond? if they all come into the refuge, you can't put your if they could do this. Area beyond this sign closed to all public entry from November 1 to March 1st. They could close that down to all boats, kayaks, swimmers, I mean, everything. They could close it down. No public entry. There are some of the walking trails that are on the refuge that have this sign, and for good reason. They don't want people walking into the impoundments while the ducks are in there and disturbing them. Good reason. And these are, again, refuge impoundments. But they could do this in some of our most traditional areas of waterfowl hunting in on the Santee Lakes, which is the Billup Slough, the Canes Branch, the Coca-Cola Slough, Paradise Point, Boathouse Slough, Hickory Top, even the Green Tree Reservoir around Piscini Island. All these areas could, if the management wants it, it could stop access. Now, I'm not saying that this automatically creates the closure. It doesn't. What I'm saying, before we change anything, before we do anything, tell us what the future public access could look like. I want to know. Do you want? I mean, I'm asking. I mean, you want to know, don't you? Um, I mean, I do. I want to know. I want to know what public access, what access they're talking about giving us more access. Access to what? To the water? We have 20 some odd, almost 30, 24 to 26, I think is what the actual number is, of boating accesses, whether it's public or private. What further access? Again, I hate to sound funny about it, and I hate to sound silly about it, but are they talking about building a boardwalk from from the Bluff unit over to Piscini Island so people go walk around the island and get mosquito bit? I really, really want to know what what they're talking about. Um, it to me, you know, I'm not understanding what they're wanting. Now I did see a couple of things in here. I'm gonna see if I can come back up. And again, let's see here. Hey, Peppy, what's going on? And to everybody who's come into the chat, again, I wasn't really paying much attention. I kind of glanced over at it. And welcome to everybody. Everybody that's come in, all my regulars. And again, if you're not new to here to the channel, welcome in. Peppy says, looks like the hatchery is included on Lake Moultrie. Absolutely, yeah. It's yeah. The old hatchery, the Panopolis Pool area, all that area has been taken in. And yeah, I was also disheartened that you know that South Carolina was not included. I was getting kind of excited a little bit to see some more hunting and fishing opportunities within our national refuges. But after reading the proposal for Santee, they don't have the funding. I mean, they don't have the people, which means they don't have the funding. I'm not sitting there saying they're broke. I'm just saying they don't have the funding to hire more people, or maybe they can't get people to work. I don't know which, but they can't even manage, they don't have enough people to manage the 4 units that are on the Santee National Wildlife Refuge. How can they be expected to manage other properties, whether it's on the lake itself or even outside of the lake in that blue boundary? I'm kind of again, I don't get it. I don't get what their thinking is. I'm just not. Um, for any of you here in South Carolina, um, I was I went to Florence last Saturday, to the PD Outdoor Classic. Uh, I will tell you, it's a small venue. It's a little outdoor class. It's a small venue, but it take you if you walk through you can literally walk through the whole thing in about 45 minutes to an hour. You probably stay longer where the snakes and the wolves and the porcupines, the little room that they had those in, but you could literally walk through the whole thing in about an hour. I was laughing the other day. I mentioned it to some other people. I said I could have done it in 30 minutes, but I went around to some of the vendors and I began talking with them and some of the people that attended the outdoor classic, and I talked to roughly 30 people, and not one person, not one person that I talked to supported this expansion. Now, I got it. This is not a scientific poll. And I most certainly did not talk to everybody that was there. I'm not claiming that these 30 people represent everybody in South Carolina. Uh, but I'm telling you what I personally heard talking face to face with people who use these resources. Um, Not really, Charles. So again, I talked to people, and everybody was against this expansion. Now, I will say a lot of them agreed with me as far as private property. Now, if a private landowner wants to sell or lease the property to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service as part of the Santee National Wildlife Refuge, nobody I have talked to, nobody I have talked to is opposed to that. What they are opposed to is taking our public water. The areas that are public now that we can duck hunt in, fish in, kayak in, boat ride in, that's what everybody is opposed to, and not to the private land. I'm not opposed. If a landowner wants to buy or sell his property or lease it to the federal government, fine by me. Go right ahead. Put it in the refuge system. I got no problem with that whatsoever. Now, I don't have a graphic on this, and I'm sorry I don't, but I've been posting this stuff on Facebook when I began to hear about it, which was last week. As a matter of fact, last Monday we talked about it. It was when I first heard about it, and I just threw everything up there. I hadn't really dove into all this, but I started posting on Facebook. Of course, we did the live stream last Monday on this, and last Thursday, y'all gonna get a kick out of this one. At 11:45 p.m., a reporter from the Live 5 News out of Charleston, and I forget their call letters, but it was Live 5 News, messaged me on my Daddy Duck Facebook page. And basically this reporter introduced themselves, wanted to know if they could use some of my words that I wrote about, and I was very kind, and I said, I prefer you give me a call. Give me a call. We'll talk about it. I even offered to take them out and let them see what they were proposing as far as on the lake. Now, again, this was Thursday at 11:45. Now, I was sound asleep. And when I woke up Friday morning, grabbed my grandson, we grabbed some stuff, we took off, went to the Mark Taylor plantation, and we sighted in some guns, and we trained the dog a little bit. We had a lot of fun. So I didn't actually see the message until later on Friday afternoon. But when I did, I immediately said, "Hey, I'm sorry, I just seen this. Uh, Call me, send me your number. We'll talk. I will tell you whatever, I'll tell you whatever I can." I even called the station. I even called the station and left my name and number there for them to call me back. I never got that phone call. And if you'll go on to their website and you can find that article about the U.S. Fish and Wildlife and all of this stuff right here, they got a half a paragraph. And all they're saying is that all they said in that little half a paragraph was there is opposition on social media. And there were some other words, I'm paraphrasing, but that was it. And it was in the middle of the story, hidden in the middle of the story, because that's where you want to know what's going on. Look in the middle of a news story, because that's where the information you want is going to be at. Not in the beginning, not in the end, but little bitty piece in the middle. Anyway, as you can imagine, that interview never happened. The story ran. Again, I'm not here to attack the reporter. I'm not here to attack the news station. And Fish and Wildlife absolutely deserves to have its position represented. But what got me is so do the people that use these resources. The public deserves to state their position and to be represented. The hunters, the fishermen, the boaters, the people who spend their lives on these lakes, the people who work on these lakes, the guys that have the boat ramps, the private boat ramps, the docks, the fuel stations, the restaurants, they need to be represented as well, and they were not. And if I had been interviewed, I would have told her exactly what I'm telling y'all tonight. Exactly. Again, I've said it. Anybody who has followed me, anybody who has followed me in this journey of YouTube that I've had with Daddy Duck 365, y'all know that I am for conservation. And this, what we're talking about, is this isn't anti conservation, because I am for conservation. I am for habitat. I am for sanctuary. I'm also for public access to public land and water. And here's the thing, these positions can coexist, but it cannot coexist if it's all one sided. Both parties need to be represented. And I'm doing my best to represent our side of the story. And I hope y'all, when tonight is over with, and it's going to take 1 or 2 days, and you'll be able to see it again for those of y'all that missed it or want to rewatch it. Hopefully you do. Hopefully you want to watch it like 4 or 5 times, but y'all can actually grab it off of YouTube and share it. Um, this Our side needs to be told, and it's just one of those things. Let's see here. This may be it right here. Nope, that ain't it. Well, I thought I had it. I guess I don't. This may be the one that didn't get done right. Uh, Hang on one second. I'm sorry, guys. I was trying to find another graphic, and um, I can't find it. It might have gotten deleted by accident. And listen, I've spent a lot of time last Monday night, this whole week, all the weekend, and today, about telling you what I think. But here, this is where y'all come in. And if you agree with me, you need to email that. And all that information is I presented it last week. I'll try to find those others and those that other information here in a little bit. But you need to email, and if you agree with me, comment. If you disagree with me, comment. Tell them. If you support this proposal, tell them why. If you oppose it, tell them why. If you don't understand a question or you don't understand what's going on, ask them. Ask them to respond back to you. Um, this is coming up. This is the deadline for the public comment time is September 17th. September 17th. And it is, you can email Dorothy underscore Wells at fws.gov. Let me see if I can put that at least in the comments for y'all, if I can get my thing to work. DOROTH. Dorothy underscore Wells at fws.gov. There, take a screenshot of that. It's in the comments right now. If you're listening, take your phone out. If you got another phone, if you own your phone, you need another phone. There is, grab a piece of paper. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do it this way. So it's right there. Send this person an email, whether you're for it or against it. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just giving you I'm opposed to it. If you're opposed to all this, send them an email. We got to September 17th, 2026. I need you to headline it, proposed NWR expansions in Georgia and South Carolina. That's what the headline should read when you send this email. That's going to be there for a while. So if you need it, write it down. Hopefully you do. We need all these things. In all seriousness, September 17th is the deadline. Don't sit at home afterward and say, I wish somebody had said something. You are the somebody. And make your voices heard, guys. Each and every one of you. Make your voices heard. I had another graphic. Again, I had some graphics that must have gotten deleted. And for that, I most definitely apologize. But I was kind of hesitant to talk about this, but what if the big if, but if it does happen, if they do take some property if they do take some property that is public, that is on the water, and it's in our public area, I don't want it. I oppose it. But if it does happen, I would hope that they would allow us to hunt that area, continue to hunt that area, fish that area, kayak that area during appropriate hunting and fishing hunting seasons. Because let's face facts, South Carolina, you can fish 365 days. But my proposal to them would be on an existing NWR in Arkansas, which is the Pheasanthal National Wildlife Refuge. Now, Pheasanthal, for those of you who don't know, consists of about 76,000 acres. There's, I think, and I don't know if it's half or just under or just over, but a good portion of that is in a restricted area. So it means you can't hunt it. You can't go in there during an allotted time. But the other half, you can hunt it. And it's not lottery. You can hunt it 7 days a week. But they do have some restrictions. You cannot enter until 4 a.m. You can put your boat in the water right there at the boat ramp, but you can't go anywhere until 4 a.m. You have to stop hunting at noon. You have to have all waterfowl hunting equipment off of the water by 1 o'clock. There's no camping except in designated areas. There's no cutting of trees or brush to make blinds. You can use portable blinds if you need to. There's designated sanctuary areas for birds. So, for example, they take the bluff unit, they leave the bluff unit as part of the sanctuary area, and they put Passini Island just super flat. That's a small area, but I'm just giving an example. Yeah, okay, and then they keep that open. I'd be okay with that, but I'm absolutely opposed to taking any of it and putting in a refuge. But if there has to be, if there's no way around it, and we don't have enough signatures, and we can't stop this, then that is something that I could get behind and at least argue some points on that. But I don't want it. One of the main reasons I'm telling you this is it demonstrates that conservation and public access don't have to be enemies. You can give the ducks a sanctuary. You can give them somewhere to rest. You can manage the hunting pressure with the 4 o'clock blowout. The only problem with this whole thing on our lakes is there's 24 boating access points. I mean, you can come in from anywhere and get over there. And so that is the only thing I see wrong with that proposal, because you literally could put it in a state park and come across the lake. You could put it wherever, and you put it at Pax Landing, because I don't think it goes that far, and then run right down the lake and jump into it. So those are the issues. So again, if they use that proposal in the way, and again, like I said, I was opposed to it, but I would at least listen to them if they had that proposal. But you would lose access points. You would lose the Jacks Creek, the Billup Slough, the Hickory Top. You would lose those. Possibly lose Elliott's. You would lose it, but then you could come. You could. I mean, you could take the 45-minute to an hour boat ride across the stump fields, across the lake, and get in there if you didn't want to put in at a NWR ramp. So it's you would actually lose access instead of gaining anything. But again, it's something that I could at least if they did something, if they were talking about it that way, we can argue other points with them. Um, let's see here. Swan Quarter Refuge has areas where you can hunt, but your boat has to be on the banks of the designated area. Right. And again, this this whole thing, um, in the area that was shaded on that map, um, where'd I go? There we are. Let's see if I can find it again. Everything that's shaded. I mean, there's 10 boat ramps in this area right here. If you can see my mouse, I don't know if you can or not. There's 10 boat ramps, at least. At least 10 boat ramps, if not more. 26 total on the lake system, but you know, so there's really no place. There's really no place to do it. I mean, even that proposal I had, there's really you would end up losing access to to everything. Um, Now, while I was getting all this information together, I'm I'm gonna make. I don't want to call it a plea, but I have a message that I want to extend to Ducks Unlimited and to Delta Waterfowl. Listen, when the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services proposed changes involving the drain tile in the prairie pothole region, the duck factory, the duck hunters, we stood up. Around 200,000, over 200,000 comments came in. Hunters sent letters, they sent emails. The waterfowl community came together. Because protecting the duck factory matters. And I supported that. I sent my email in. Ducks Unlimited, Delta Waterfowl. When the duck factory needed hunters, we stood with you. Y'all came out and said we need to stop this, and we stood with you. Now I am asking Ducks Unlimited and Delta Waterfowl, stand up with the public duck hunters of South Carolina and Georgia and come to our aid. Ask these questions. You can get better answers than I can. I called two different refuges when this all came out, and I got the runaround. Plain and simple. Help us protect the public hunting opportunities. Help us protect the fishing. Help us protect our access. And help make sure that conservation doesn't unnecessarily become the exclusion. We need conservation. We need habitat. And we need sanctuary. But you can't have any of that if we don't have the public opportunity to hunt ducks. Then you're not going to have the conservation or the habitat or the sanctuary because there won't be any duck hunters to fund all of that. And guess what? We can protect them all. We can protect them all. Guys, I hope that y'all have I hope that you agree with me. I hope that you are in opposition of this proposal because again, if it can happen here, it can happen to other states. And I know the majority of you guys that are in here who are commenting, and y'all are from other states. If it can happen here, it can happen there. This is my backyard. This is my so-called playground. If it was your playground, I'm quite sure you'd be wanting to defend it. And I can assure you of one thing: I will be there. If you, if they come into your playground like this, like they're trying to do here, I will come. I will come and stand with you. Just little old me. I ain't much. I'm a little nothing, but I will come and stand with you. Again, and I want to put this up one more time. This is the email address that you need to send your opposition letter to. Send your comments. Again, the proposed NWR expansions in Georgia and South Carolina. And whether you agree with me completely or agree with part of what I'm saying, or even if you think that I have lost my ever-loving mind, send your comments. Send your comments in. Be respectful. Be factual. Tell them how you use these resources. Tell them what you support. Tell them what concerns you, and ask your questions. Now, here's what I'm leaving everybody with tonight. In May, the Fish and Wildlife announces more hunting and fishing opportunities across 32 states. South Carolina was not one of them. In June, the Santee management document discusses management and the existing opportunity, or existing, the Santee management document discusses management of the existing approximately 15,095 acre refuge, and acknowledges that they have limited refuge staff time. In August, now we're considering a potential much larger acquisition boundary around this area. So again, my questions remain the same. Why wasn't South Carolina included in May? If staff time is already limited, how do we manage more? And what exactly does more public access really mean? That's one of my biggest questions. What is the net effect on hunting, fishing, and boating? Which acres are actually being considered? Because if you look at this map, that thick blue line is what they will take in. Anywhere in there. From private landowners, but it also includes public water. It also includes wildlife management area. So what acres are they actually discussing? Listen, I'm not asking anybody to take my word for this. Read these documents. Look at their maps, ask your own questions, and make up your own mind. But whatever you do, just don't sit on the sidelines on this one. Make your voices heard. Send your emails. Dorothy_Wells at fws.gov. It's right there. Take a picture of it. Write it down. Whatever you got to do. Email me later tonight if you have to. I'll answer it tomorrow. But whatever you need. If you have a question, you can email it. If you have any questions, put them in the comments right now. Put them down in the comments as we're talking about this right now. Share your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your comments. So, guys, that's basically what I got for tonight. And I'm going to sit right here for about another 5 or 10 minutes, and I'll be more than happy to answer questions if I can. Write these questions down. If I don't know the answer, I'll write them down and I'll find out. I will look and find out. But I am not going to give this up. I am not going down without a fight. We are going to. This is priority number one for the Daddy Duck camp right now, is to save our public lands from being taken over by the federal government, by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. They can't manage what they got now. How in the world how in the world are they expected to manage more when they can't even manage what they got? And that's what I got. Like I said, if y'all have questions, please put them in the comments. If you don't, send me an email, daddyduck365@gmail.com, and let me know what your questions are. I promise you I'll get back with you. I will try to answer them if I can. If I have an answer, I will answer it. If I don't have an answer, I will do my dangest to find an answer. If I can get anybody to talk to me up there, because this should be on everybody's mind right now. Cody, I do not think anybody wants me for press. I would take it. I have a beard, and I think we need a president that has a beard. By the way, I'm joking, guys. I'm joking. But this is how important it is. Because if it was your backyard, if they were taking away your public hunting or talking about it, you'd be up in arms, and you'd want some help. And I'm telling you, little old me, I will be there. If they come knocking on your door, I'll be there. Um, but we need help. We need to stop this. By unbelievable. I think an hour of talking, I deserved a little slug of that sweet tea. I will sell you all the dead voter votes you want to buy. And what's going on, man? You crazy? But I hope, if those of y'all that watched last week's, I had some information. I didn't have it all. I brought in some new information for tonight, and I'm hoping this is enlightened you. I hope it has opened your eyes. Again, there's going to be some people who do support this, and I'm not going to talk bad about them. Um, I don't think they hunt or fish. Um, but hey, everybody has a right to their opinion. Opinions are like elbows. Everybody's got two of them. So really, if you oppose it, please send this person that email. Even if you agree with it, send them an email. It got to be fair across the board. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to do. You got to follow your own heart on this. Any questions, guys? All right. Well, listen, I do appreciate y'all listening. Um, I really do. If it wasn't for you guys, then there would be no reason for me to be here. To be honest, I appreciate each and every one of y'all coming in. If you haven't already, do me a huge, huge, huge favor and hit that like button. I would have greatly, greatly appreciate it. It'd mean the world to me. Does anybody need this anymore? I hope not. If you need this, again, let me know and I'll put it right back up real quick. But I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Um, I hope y'all have a great week. I hope y'all send these emails. And you do not have to be from South Carolina or Georgia. You can send these emails. You can send them. You can oppose it. Doesn't matter where you're from. Okay? Does not matter. Send it. Either you're either for it or against it. So send your emails. But with all that said, I hope y'all have a great week. I hope y'all have a good day. Teal season is right around the corner, and I am dying to get out there. So, y'all have a good one. Y'all take care. And guess what? I will see y'all next time on Daddy Duck 365. Y'all have a great night.